In this unit, we're going to cover New Mexico Business Portal, the Secretary of State filings, filing corporate reports, wage withholding, corporate income tax, franchise tax, workers' compensation, and unemployment insurance. The New Mexico Business Portal. You can easily maintain compliance operating a business in the state by visiting the New Mexico Business Portal. You can visit it at enterprise.sos.nm.gov. And the New Mexico Business Portal is going to help you if you hire new employees. It also helps you file mandatory corporation paperwork and expand your dealership. And the business portal is basically structured in 4 modules. They've got the planning and starting and then maintaining and growing. So it really can help you later on, especially with you maybe hiring staff and things like that. If you do hire additional staff from certain disadvantaged groups, such as veterans, ex-felons, disabled individuals, and food stamp recipients or unemployment recipients, you might be able to receive what's called a work tax credit. So do please keep that in mind. If you ever have any questions about hiring or workforce development, they've got great resources for you at the New Mexico Department of Workforce Solutions, and you can call them directly at 877-664-6984. Filing corporate reports. I want you to be aware of some mandatory filing requirements with the New Mexico Secretary of State's office. If your dealership is a corporation or limited liability partnership, you must file your report with the New Mexico Secretary of State soon after you start, which is called an initial report. If you own a limited liability partnership, you must file a report once a year, which is called your annual report. If you own a corporation, you must file a report every 2 years, which is your biennial report. If you own a limited liability company, you're not required to file periodic reports, but you must file your initial report, so do please keep that in mind. And don't forget, you must file your beneficial information report within 30 days of your initial filing with the Secretary of State office, and we covered that here just a little bit ago. A great resource for you if you need to file corporate reports is to sign up for the Secretary of State's reminder service that will enable you to have automated reminders sent from the Secretary of State's office to let you know when your corporate reports are due. Next, I do want to cover a little bit of tax policy with you. You must file a state tax return and pay your state sales taxes, pay your state taxes on your business income. Now, I talk about 2 different types of taxes in your dealer training course. I talk about the motor vehicle excise tax that your customers pay when they purchase a vehicle, and we're also going to talk about income taxes, which you will either pay as an individual or possibly corporate income taxes, which you pay as a corporation. So your tax filing status is very much determined by your business entity, and any software program or any accountant that you're using will definitely help you maintain state tax policy. The law is very clear. You have to pay your taxes. So one of the biggest mistakes I've seen is someone that gets their dealer's license for the very first time and they don't set a little bit of money aside to pay their taxes. So the last thing you want to do is get into debt to TRD or the IRS. So you want to make sure as you start making some money in your new business to set aside some of that profit so you can ensure to pay any taxes that are due. Wage withholding tax. If you have employees, employers must withhold a part of the employee's wages for payment of the income tax. State withholding tax is very much like federal withholding tax. So who's going to withhold? Any employer who withholds a portion of an employee's wages for payment must pay that tax. So any employee is going to be defined as a New Mexico resident that performs services within the state or without the state with a New Mexican employer. So it also includes non-residents. So you might have an out-of-state employee that works for you. That would be included as well. And when you're paying wages, wages is defined as cash or any other type of financial payment that you're making to the customer. So the amount of tax is very much dependent on what the employee claims on their federal W-2s. If you do ever have any questions about withholding tax or any type of tax, once again, there's that phone number that I've given you several times, 505-827-0700. They are a wealth of tax information. Whether you have motor vehicle excise tax questions or income tax questions, they will have answers for you. I want to give you a quick overview of the state's corporation income tax. So New Mexico imposes a corporate income tax on the net income of every domestic corporation and every foreign corporation, that's an out-of-state company, that does transactions here in the state. So a corporation is going to be a corporation or limited liability or partnership that's taxed as a corporation under the IRS revenue code. So do please keep that in mind. And here's how it's determined. If your income is less than $500,000, that's your net income. If your net income is less than $500,000, then the corporation income tax would be 4.8%. Okay, so if your net income is more than $500,000, then your corporation income tax is 5.9%. And always be aware that these rates could change, but any type of tax software that you might be using, or maybe an accountant, will definitely have your latest rates. The franchise tax. New Mexico corporate franchise tax is the obligation of every domestic and foreign corporation that engages in business in New Mexico. So basically, the corporate franchise tax is when a legal entity or person is the subject of a jurisdiction and must pay that as well. So this sounds complicated, but it's really not. So any tax software that you're using or any accountant that you're using should be able to help you with this. But I hope this never happens. If you ever close your business, you will need to dissolve your corporation and resign the registered agent to help safeguard against future tax liabilities. I'm hoping you never close this business, but if you do, you'll need to dissolve your corporation and resign your registered agent. Otherwise, you could face future tax liabilities for a business that's no longer operating. So you would have to contact the New Mexico Secretary of State's office. You can do that online, or if you have questions, hopefully this is a call that you don't have to make. If you want to close your business, call 505-827-0825. And don't forget to resign any additional registered agent that you have as well. Workers' compensation taxes. All New Mexico businesses that employ workers are required to have workers' compensation coverage to ensure against workplace injury. Now, if you have 3 or more employees, then you have to have workers' compensation. And there are 3 different types of workers' compensation. There is going to be conventional coverage, assigned risk, and self-insurance. So they are a little bit different there, okay? Now, if you have a business that pays more than $15,000 per year for workers' compensation, then you have to have an annual inspection. So once again, if your workers' compensation insurance premium is $15,000 or more, then you must have a safety inspection. If you're a self-insured employer, then you can certainly have a member of your self-insured group do that inspection for you as well. If you are required to carry workers' compensation, you must also display a workers' compensation poster like the one that you see right here. And you can easily download those posters from the WCA website or any of the state agencies' offices, and they are free of charge. There are some alternative posters that you could use if they are approved by the state. So if any employer in the state of New Mexico fails to disclose these forms, then that would allow the customer to have legal recourse against you. And you want to make sure that you have any type of notice of accident posters as well. So please be aware that businesses that fail to obtain workers' compensation insurance may incur penalties ranging from very severe to even injunction against the business. So do please keep that in mind. Unemployment insurance tax and your wage report. Unemployment insurance is paid to an employee that is removed from employment at no fault of their own. And it's actually paid by the state of New Mexico from a fund that is funded by all employers in the state that have employees. Unemployment insurance is basically a safety net program, and it provides temporary income support for qualified unemployed workers. As an employer, you pay unemployment taxes to fund the unemployment benefits. When these benefits are improperly paid, then you could end up paying even more. So the improper payment of unemployment insurance is a serious problem that really has a negative impact on every employer in the state. If you have employees in the state of New Mexico, you must file a quarterly wage report, and you can easily do that with any tax or software program, and that is ES Form 903A that lists all the wages that you've paid during a certain report. The wage report and payment are due on or before the end of the month following the close of each calendar quarter. You, as a business owner, are able to file your quarterly wage report and pay your unemployment taxes online. It might sound complicated, but it's really not, because any accountant or software program should be able to handle those payments for you if you are hiring employees. Maybe you're going to be a small one-person operation, and that's fine, but most dealers that grow are going to hire employees, and these are some laws that you need to be aware of. If you ever have any questions about unemployment insurance, you call 877-664-6984. Federal taxes. Every business in New Mexico, including the dealership that you're getting ready to start, must file and pay federal taxes. Here you see the IRS Small Business and Self-Employment Tax Center, which can be a really helpful resource for every dealership in the state. If you ever have any questions about how to pay your federal taxes, you can also contact one of the 3 New Mexico IRS offices that we have in the state. So they have an IRS office in Albuquerque. You can call them at 505-837-5505. IRS also has an office in Santa Fe. You can call 505-424-5961, and they've even got one over in Roswell, 575-624-9447. I want you to be aware, if you ever have any questions about taxes, especially federal taxes, if you contact any one of the IRS offices, you could go in. They will spend the entire day showing you how to pay your federal taxes. So I do want you to be aware of that. As a side note, the law is very clear. You are required to pay your federal taxes and your state's taxes. That is written in law. So dealers must pay your taxes. Now that we've completed this unit, I want to remind you, you can review all these videos at NewMexicoDealer.com.